Hey, Mr. Pond Boss, tell me what to do to make all my Lunker Lake dreams
Making them all come true. Yeah. Here we go. Hello, everybody. Bob Lusk, the Pond Boss, going live up here in Gordonville, Texas. Got some cool people hanging out with me tonight. Let's see. Look at there, Jason Nepstead. He's always the first one up, Chico. Hanging out with me today from Austin, Texas. Well, he's actually in Seguin now.
Seguin, Texas.
That's right. Mike, we call him Chico Garcia.
Yeah.
And Chico, so I'm so glad you're... We also have DannyMac. Everybody that watches this show knows DannyMac. And DannyMac's going to circle around in the hot seat here.
I'm surrounded by Aggies here.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? He could have wore his Longhorn hat, but he knew better. Except, no, I think he kind of forgot, though, didn't you really?
Well, you know what? I actually have another team now because...
Who?
Well, I moved to Seguin, and I asked for that football Longhorn network. And you know what?
No.
You can't get it in Seguin.
Oh,
it's an Aggie town.
Man, I hate that.
So I get the SEC network.
Well, there you go. So you get to
I'm
what?
a fan.
There you go.
I'm a fan.
Well, Chico, I'm so glad you're here. Chico and DannyMac are both here for the Bob Lusk Institute of Higher Pondology. Now, it's going to be raining all day tomorrow, so we're going to be inside, which is good, inside this building right here.
And warm.
And warm, that's right. And so if there's still room, if some folks want to come, you're sure welcome to come. And we got room for 2 or 3 more anyway. Well, Chico, look at that. There we are live. So now I'm going to click on this so I can see the questions a little bit easier, see who all's tuning in. You guys know the drill. You know,
You've
please.
done this before, man. You've done this.
Yeah, once upon a time. If you will, type in hashtag PondBoss Magazine into the comment section. Share this to your timeline and like it. You're eligible for a drawing for a hat, Pond Boss hat. Look at that.
Nice hat.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
And one of those mugs that knows how to keep hot things hot and cold things cold. Well, Chico's hanging out with me, and let's see who all we got there. We got Chris Horsley, Bill Russell. Look at there. There's Ron Ardoin. He's one of our South Louisiana fellas. Ron's got a pond management company startup down there. He works, I don't know, like 3 days and off 3 months or something.
It's great.
Which I know that's not true. He sent us some boudin. And you know what, Ron, I have to admit, I did hoard some back, save some back, and I'm going to serve it to the masses that are here for this weekend coming up. You're going to get some boudin from Ron Ardoin. There's Danny Tolliver. He lives over here in Bells, Texas. Connie Bingaman, which is really Fred on Connie's phone. He hijacks Connie's phone so he can watch it.
See, it's cool because I watch your show and I'm seeing these same guys.
There they are. There you go. And there's Leo. Leo Wynn is one of the most brilliant, analytical, deep-thinking, environmentally conscious guys in the world, and
we'd get along really good.
Yes, and he does some really cool things out there on the left coast. He's a breath of fresh air and an island of disagreement out there on the left coast.
Is he really? So he's a righty on the lefty?
Yes, he is.
See, we were just talking about that.
I know, we're not talking long about it. Yep.
Well, we're like, dyed-in-the-wool conservatives.
Yeah.
But we're really big-time conservationists.
Exactly. We're conservationists. We love taking care of water. There's Ed Brewer, John Funk checking in from mid-Michigan. Looks like his autumn colors are in full peak going on. Let's see, John Wilson with Aquedoc up there in Ohio checking in. His Cleveland Indians didn't make it. Neither did my Texas Rangers.
Nationwide. This is really cool.
Isn't that fun? Yeah. And Chris Horsley, he's got little hook 'em horn things. I can't say that, and my fingers.
Yeah, you can.
I try to make my fingers do that, and they won't.
Yeah, they do.
Hey, there's Christopher Aguilar. Now, Christopher, he's from South Louisiana, South LA, and he I don't know. I don't know why these guys haven't met. He and Ron need to meet. Yep, Chuck Brinkman. Chuck's up there in what's that? In Missouri. He's up there. He's west of St. Louis. He does some cool things. He feeds Purina Aquamax fish foods to his largemouth bass, his bluegill, his channel catfish. He's got some of the fastest growing, biggest fish in the shortest period of time of anybody I've ever seen. But he follows the rules. He takes good care of his water. He feeds his fish good feed, and he is raising his kids right. His daughter caught a fish bigger than she was. Whoa. Well, kinda. That's a little exaggeration. So Chico, you know what? I've been greeting everybody. There's Justin Schenck. He's also from California. Brad Rom. Hey, Brad. Sheridan Ashmore. Hey, Sheridan, I'm going to answer your question in a minute. I remembered. Dick Tabert's checking in. Dick Tabert grows some gigantic bluegills. He grows bluegills and knocking on the door of 2 pounds. So, you know what? Here we are. We've chewed up 5 minutes, and I want to talk to you.
I love your lead-ins, your openings. This is great.
Let's
You're covering ground.
And, you know, Chico's going to tell you how we met, but Chico is an ardent angler, kayak fisherman, videographer. Actually, Chico's here to video and document what we're getting ready to do at the Bob Lusk Institute of Higher Pondology. So, Chico, tell everybody what you do, who you are.
Well, that's kind of what I've been doing. By the way, I look forward to doing this. This is going to be really an educational weekend for me. So, one of the coolest things that I get to do when I film guys like you is I'm learning.
Yeah.
And I'm not paying for it. I feel like you're paying me. So
What?
This works out pretty good. I like it.
How'd that happen?
But, you know, I got into that years ago. I mean, we were one of the first guys, and me back with Phil Spencer and a lot of these old campers that have been around.
Phil Spencer's a guy down on the Texas Gulf Coast, Corpus Christi, Port Aransas.
Phil's got records people aren't going to break because you can't do that anymore. So, I mean, it was a pretty amazing guy. An epic fisherman. But we started doing videos on kayaks, and we kind of were at the leading edge of the trend of what's happening now, filming yourself fishing.
Very cool.
And it's kind of turned into that, and so I've kind of been able to do that with a lot of things, but I got involved with a good friend of mine, Bo Reed, years ago, and with Keep Austin Fishing, we expanded on that and brought it to social media, so we grew from there.
There you are. Look at there.
In the meantime, did YouTube and
Look right there. There's Jessica O'Neill.
Jessica down
Yeah, she's in Australia.
Oh.
You know what? You guys watching the show, click on her Facebook page.
Yeah, go
and
check
you'll see
it out.
somebody that absolutely loves to fish. Jessica I don't know her. I've never met her. She's kind of shy.
She's a guide.
But she is
really
dynamite.
Yeah, this is the real deal in a woman.
Dynamite, Vegemite.
That's right.
Okay.
And we, you know, I'd love to get her up here and go fishing with her up here.
Well, we got some pretty good fishing lakes around here.
She knows it.
And hey, Jessica, we've never met, but you're welcome to come hang out and go fishing.
Jessica.
Yeah, she got you.
We did our show. She was always in on it. But anyway, that's what we did. We kind of started in on some of this social media and feel like we were the leading edge. And then now we're kind of surfing the wave. You know, we're hanging with it.
Now, Facebook has contacted you on several occasions because of what you've done.
Thank you. We were one of the first 12 groups recognized internationally as bringing communities together. And this was really cool because it was the only outdoorsman and the only really right-leaning fishing group politically when it happened.
Huh.
And we got invited. We met Mark Zuckerberg. We've got on the panels. I've been to 2 other seminars and community events with them so far. And we do a lot of beta testing for Facebook because of that, because we tested a lot of these tools in groups.
So,
that's with Bo, by the way. Bo helped me with that.
Bo Reed.
Bo Reed was the innovator in bringing a lot of that. We came together years ago when we were doing some tournament work, and we looked at this Facebook and MySpace, everything that was going on at the time, and kind of said, there's a way to make this work for sportsmen, and that's kind of what we did. We kind of took that and put the poker into the fire and stoked it up and made
so here you go.
a little bit.
So Keep Austin Fishing was the genesis, but there's been some things that have sprung from that.
Yeah.
But what's the mission?
Well, the mission's too. Actually, the mission is Keep Austin Fishing. So the whole mission was to bring more people into the outdoors. It was really to bring people to recognize the value that fishing brings to you. And we felt like that was it. You know, we all love fishing. Everybody has a fishing memory, and there was a way to start saying, you know, there was an emptiness in between all these pros, and we were pro staffing, and we were getting free stuff and wearing all the gear. This is when, you know, you could actually, you know, make a meal out of that.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that much anymore. We wanted to figure out a way to say, let's bring the beginning guy that's never done it, that wants to find places to fish, that wants to know how to tie the knots, that wants to know the basic stuff, and put them together with the pros. And we were able to do that. We sat and looked at it and realized we've got the resources, we've got large companies that have money. I was pro staffing with Johnson Outdoors. They represent everything. I mean, if you look into Eureka tents to back then, remember in the early days it was even the Johnson Motors and other things. So we found kayaking and kayak fishing and bank fishing to be a really good catalyst.
And everybody can do that.
And everybody can do that. And that's kind of what, you were doing the Pond Boss thing and getting on Ken Milam's show.
Yes.
And I don't even remember what it was, but you were a call-in and I was calling in and we were doing things and ended up being on a show together. And so, we get along pretty good. And, we've become pretty good friends.
Yeah.
This is a good friend now. So.
Hey, you know what? We got Morgan Tyler joined in. Morgan is Morgan works for Purina Mills. He's one of their wildlife specialists. He understands how to feed deer, but he also understands the Aquamax products and Purina, one of our sponsors that helps put this show together. Texas Hunter Feeders is as well. But, a number of the huge fish that I've had the privilege of growing, I totally believe the reason they have gotten so big, especially big bluegills and some feed-trained bass, is because of the work that Purina Mills has done to develop the best fish foods out there. And good to see Morgan there. Let's see here. I'm going to scroll down. There's more.
This is that community thing.
Yes.
This is that community.
Yes.
When you're getting the people that have the high-tech connection and the guy that fishes on the edge of a pond can see that.
Absolutely.
This is the power.
And that's part of the fun of what I do. Here's Chris Dobbs. He helps manage the Whitesboro High School bass fishing team right here where I live. Look at there. There's Bo Reed. Bo's checking in. Bo sees what's going on. He saw you when you shared it. Derek Wolf. Derek Wolf is a landowner here in this area that he's got some ponds.
I've heard of Derek. He's on here.
Yeah, and Derek's wanting to be a better pond meister. Scott Hohensee. Scott is he's also a Purina guy. He works with Morgan Tyler quite a bit. Matt Hines. I'm a little behind on the conversations here, guys. There's Ron. He's a part-time pond manager for now. His primary job is a refinery process operator for Phillips 66. You guys can read that. He makes gasoline and aviation fuel so I can go places.
Is he one of those guys that can get the 200% ethanol stuff?
Yeah.
Wait. We got a peanut gallery today.
Danny's back there listening to it. Yeah. Jessica, the work these guys do will keep Austin fishing. Second to none. That's good. Matt Reardon. Hey, Matt. Good to see you. Hey, thanks for the kind words. Tim Stewart's checking in. Tim's over in Florida. He's a beekeeper. And you know what? I don't know if
doing stuff with John Swan.
Yeah, it's the Hive Jive. Well, Tim is in it commercially. So Tim provides bees for the almond farmers and vegetable farmers in California.
So he's going from Florida to California?
Well, he's also in New Jersey. So he was going to try to get here for this event. And he actually texted me just before we went live to see if it would be worth it to
check out Ken Milam's show on Saturday mornings. You're going to hear a lot about bees.
There you go. Yeah. And matter of fact, he could probably teach it.
Yeah.
There's Frank James checking in from Louisiana outside of Shreveport. Yeah, Ron, I really wasn't picking on you. He does work 5 on, 5 off. I said work 3 off, 3 months, but I was just poking fun.
Are you a speed reader? You're a speed reader.
How
do you
get
all that
It just happens.
I gotta crank my head and turn back and get my bifocals cranked up.
Hey, there's Bruce Condello, Lincoln, Nebraska. Bruce, he is a guru when it comes to growing fish. He lives on about a 10-acre rock quarry, and I can't talk much about it, but I think Bruce is a dentist part-time, so he can fuel his habits of going fishing and growing huge fish. We love Bruce Condello. He is absolute top-notch. Yeah. I mean, he should be a fisheries biologist.
Yeah, well, I just had a dentist make me feel better. So
there you go. That's what you need. Stephen Barton, he's a fisheries biologist here. He works kind of the Central Texas and Central West Texas area. Frank James, beekeepers know that a day without a buzz is a day that never was. There's the catchphrase of the day
it's
right
Wednesday
there.
night. Come on.
Man, that's good stuff. Jeez. All right, Leo says it starts with a legend. Oh, heck, I don't know what that means. The Condello genetic messengers. That's right.
This is the man.
Chris Horsley. Chico. Okay, Chico, got a question for you. I fish out of the Jackson Mayfly. What is your kayak of choice?
Yeah, well, Jackson makes some nice kayaks. I'm an ocean kayak and an Old Town guy. and I'm a PDL. I believe in the PDL. I've had all of them. I've had the electrics. Offshore, it's Trident. Inshore, it's a PDL. Now again, if the tide's up, I'm gonna take the PDL, but I will survive anything in a Trident.
Hey Bruce, my friend is Chico Garcia.
Mike.
Keep Mike. Okay, you want to call you Mike?
Okay, call me
Mike. Chico. I call him Chico because he's a good friend. But Mike Garcia, he Keep Austin Fishing. He's a kayak angler. Lives in the Austin area. Actually, he just moved to Seguin outside of San Antonio. But he is a guru when it comes to social media. Matter of fact, Frank
I have mentors.
Zuckerberg, Mark
Zuckerberg.
Frank's little brother Mark has been calling Chico for advice.
I do know Mark. Yes.
Yep, that's right. That's right. Tim Stewart pollinates almonds, cherries, blueberries, cranberries, and watermelons. I don't pollinate much anymore.
Slowed down a bit, did you?
Okay, so Chico,
I know the feeling.
You know, talk about how we met and some of the things that we've been able to do together. That'll be kind of fun.
Well, we met on doing some radio. I met through Ken, and we knew each other. I mean, I became a fan of yours just kind of hearing you talk and go, man, this guy's just putting out amazing habitat info for me as a fisherman. I was learning more about not how to build a pond, but I was learning about how best.
Well, we've spent time in a boat.
Well, and then we all got together. You, me. It was an amazing day because it was Bob Lusk, Ken Milam, Max Milam, amazing, a great guy, Ken's son, Phil Spencer.
Yeah, again, got saltwater guy.
Right, this guy's caught everything, and we all got in a boat with 2 cameras and spent a day. On Lake Buchanan, and it had just risen from the floods
40 feet.
Lake
Buchanan had been down for what, 2 years or 3 years?
Oh, yeah,
well, probably longer than that.
About 5 years. This is about a 5-year
drought. Okay, because they had some 35 and 40 foot tall willow trees growing up in the basin of that lake.
Yeah.
And it had just filled back up, and we were tooling around in a boat talking about it and just, going.
But it was the right questions coming at you.
Yeah.
It was like 4 or 5 interviewers, and we got it all on film, and it's out there.
How do they find some of this stuff?
It's on Ken Milam, The Great Outdoors, if you look at that on YouTube, and it's also on his Facebook page, but they get, how Facebook will get lost in it, so you can go look up YouTube, and you can see it on Ken Milam's Great Outdoors, and Frixtex, which is my other channel. Frixtx.
Frixtex.com?
On YouTube.
Oh, on YouTube. Okay, got it.
Now, again, we've got other stuff that we've done, but that's where a lot of your videos have ended up, mainly on iHeartMedia's spreads out.
See,
you didn't know you were.
No, I didn't know that was there.
See, he's an iHeart.
Does he have a channel?
Yeah, I've got a Pond Boss. No, I don't have an iHeart channel. I got a Pond Boss channel.
No, we do.
Okay. Holy cow, we got a bunch of things coming at us. Let's stop for a minute. And I promised Sheridan Ashmore I'd answer a question here. Scott McClurg, 52 degrees water temperature here in Lincoln, Nebraska. It falls fast there, doesn't it? Yeah. Bill Russell, I recently took part in a feed trial for a fish food manufacturer. They sent 6 different feed samples as well as a control feed. My fish ate all the samples as if they were starving. My question is, are they starving? No, you're feeding them. It really doesn't take a lot of fish food for fish to gain weight, but what happens is when you start feeding the fish, they get conditioned to that. I'm not going to go shoot a cow, skin it, butcher it to eat it if I can have a steak laid in front of me. And if you're doing a feed trial, that tells me that people are putting their marketable feeds out there for you to test. And the fish are going to tell you which ones they like the best. They like them by how they're attractive they are, how they smell, how they taste, the texture, that sort of thing. So what you're doing is pretty cool. There's Jim Liner, checking in. I hope that answers your question there, Bill. I'm glad to know you're doing a feed trial. I'd like to hear more about it. That's interesting to me. Being a fish head, fish squeezer, whatever that is, whatever I am. Look at there, Matt Singley. He knows the drill. Hashtag Pond Boss Magazine. Gary Hempels, there he's got it. Leo, curious, how long was the drought period over there, Jessica? Okay, we got a little sidebar
it's a lot of stuff,
conversation going on here. There's a really long drought going on in Australia. Jessica just told everybody about it. So now she's sharing that, and we can relate with that from time to time.
Now, does your stuff cross over? I mean, to down under.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
It's the chemistry is going to be chemistry, right?
It's the same. Yeah, yeah. Matter of fact, Scott Tucker has got a pond management company. He comes to all the Pond Boss conferences,
Really?
and he lives in Australia. Clearwater Fisheries, I think, is the name of his business.
Because they have bass.
Yeah,
They have bass.
they do, and they've got another cool freshwater fish converted from saltwater. I should think of the name of it, and it'll come to me later when we're done here. Let's see here. There's David Schneiderman, Easy Doc. David's going to be here tomorrow. You're going to get to meet David. David, I hope you're going to make it tomorrow. It's going to be raining. You're not going to be doing anything outside. So let's see here. Let me look here.
Tell Tim Stewart I do not use any apps on my kayak.
No apps on your kayak. Okay. How often do you use
Use
the
a Hummingbird
Smartfish
Fish
app?
Finder.
Oh,
That's it.
Smartfish app. Okay, okay. What Tim is
Yeah.
saying, there's an app out there called Smartfish, which allows you to. Now, private pond owners use that. You fish public waters
Yes.
more than anything.
Yes.
Private pond owners, there's an app called Smartfish where you can take the length and weight of your fish, plug it into that app on your phone, and it spits out the relative weight of that fish.
Oh.
And you can decide whether to cull it or release it immediately.
Texas Parks and Wildlife has a crossover chart.
Yes.
So if you do either get a measurement or if you get a weight, they will recognize that chart if it's bona fide measurement or weight.
For a share lunker. But what I'm saying here is for a pond management thing, in other words, if you've got a slot limit and you need to be harvesting some fish, this Smartfish app was developed by a fisheries biologist that's a good friend of ours in South Carolina, and it's the bee's knees, man, since we're talking about pollinating.
Well, I mean, social media is the critic on a lot of that too. I will find that people do not agree on some of that crossover stuff. So
Yep.
I would love to see a clearinghouse that says, here's the definitive.
Well, this is science-based. It's reality. It's not
That's what I'm
opinion.
talking
It's
about.
reality.
That would be great.
You know what? I did tell Sheridan Ashmore I'd answer his question. He sent a question in. He's really, I guess the best word is, I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. He's really interested in non-native invasive species. Somebody just caught a snakehead in Georgia.
I saw the pictures.
And he wanted me to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you this. Anytime there's a non-native invasive species, that's double trouble. Non-native and invasive equals problems. Even right here in Lake Texoma, they've got zebra mussels, but they have something else that nobody even knows about. They have, what the hell? They're a little crab. They're an Harris crab. They've got exotic Harris crabs in Lake Texoma, which displaced the native crawfish. Well, guess what smallmouth bass eat in Lake Texoma? Crawfish. But if the Harris crabs are in there taking up space, competing for food, booting out the crawfish, it doesn't work. Snakeheads, they can live out of water. They can migrate. They can go from my pond to your pond to the river. You know, so, and they're native to Asia, you know, but where a lot of the non-native species comes from, there's two avenues. They come from the tropical fish trade, like hydrilla, that's where that came from. Zebra and commercial applications, bucket biology, you know, where somebody's fishing with a certain bait, they buy 2 dozen whatever, and then they use 4 of them, they dump the rest in the lake.
Right.
You know, that's
what do you
happened.
think you're doing? Yeah.
That has hurt some of the lakes in upstate New York, where some fish that were brought from one environment to another cleaned out the zooplankton, multiplied, outcompeted the native shad up there. I'm trying to think of the dadgum name of the fish. And then they started getting blue-green algae blooms because of that fish. So until they had enough walleye and enough
cause and effect,
Yes.
and then it turns
Yes.
into the big one.
Yes, Barramundi. Thank you, Jim Liner. That's the Australian big thing. Barramundi. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Holy cow! I'm getting behind here, Chico. You know what? Wait. Part of the reason you're here, you're gonna be videoing the Institute of Higher Pondology. But what I wanted to be sure to let people know what else you do. I mean, you help produce some podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about that? I'm going to read some questions.
Well, another thing that I've got into lately is being able to work into the hunting field, and I got into that through Ken Milam, and I've been working with Larry Weissoon and Ken Milam on Untamed Heritage, so I've been able to produce that for them, and it's been a lot of fun because it's the same thing with fishing, but in hunting. And now, I mean, I'm sitting here in a room with Gary Roberson talking. He's talking for 3.5 hours about all his techniques, and I'm getting it on film. Texas Race Hunting Products, Blake, we just all these great people. We went to Double Nickel Taxidermy, and I never had seen this place, and saw some of the most.
You get to go behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, so it's allowed me to do the kind of what's been happening in fishing.
So if people want to see some or read or hear or learn about what you're doing with these podcasts, so you got Untamed Heritage podcast.
Untamed Heritage is the latest project I'm working on.
Okay, and that's with Larry Weissoon, who's a internationally well-known
Mr. Whitetail himself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
the great white hunter.
I met Larry.
Not even kidding.
I met Larry in the '80s when he had red hair.
When he actually had red and blonde.
Yeah, and he's got and he was kind of and he was a wildlife biologist then who transformed and took that knowledge into the field with a gun.
Yep.
When he started having his TV shows and things.
It's just like you, man. He's really the real deal in it. His whole life, his heart, his soul goes into this. It's lifestyle to the nth degree.
Yeah.
And
he lives at each.
When you see that, see guys like this.
So how do they find the Untamed Heritage podcast?
The podcast you can find on any podcast outlet there is.
So
we're on all of them now.
Go look for Untamed Heritage.
So from iHeartMedia is the big one because we kind of work with iHeartMedia. But just Blueberry, if you do a search on Untamed Heritage, you'll find it. And we do, a week after the podcasts are posted, we put the video on our Facebook page.
Okay.
So right. Facebook, Untamed Heritage also. And once a week, something hits.
How often do you get to go fishing?
A lot less anymore, but I do get to go. They drain my lakes. I live down in the Guadalupe River now.
My God!
I live down there and they drain it.
What a political hot potato!
It's getting better. It doesn't matter. I got.
Well, you're an optimist anyway.
I'm an hour and a half closer to the coast, so I do a lot of coastal fishing. That's really my life's path.
Yeah, there's how many lakes on that chain of lakes on the Guadalupe River, and they're going to drain all of them.
Yeah,
well, the dams keep blowing out.
Amazing. They're only going to drain Gonzales now, so I think we've got a 1-year reprieve that just came down.
Which that's not a biological decision. That's
it's politics.
Decision.
It's pure politics.
That's
right. Really a bunch
I grew up on
McQueen. If
like
you go
McQueen.
back and look, so we won't get started on it.
Let's see here.
You buy a house, you move down there, they drain it. Right.
Yeah, who knew? My wife and I were looking for property down there. I'm glad we didn't buy.
No, it's a good place to live. I love it down there.
There's Bobby Bolton checking in. Let's see, Mike Cottrell's got a question. Long question. The city had a 12-inch freshwater main break, and it was right above Boys Ranch Pond, and the water and silt flowed in through the creek and had a pretty good fish kill. Was wondering what is the difference between that and a big rainfall that fills the pond. The big difference is that water's treated. It's got chlorine or chloramines in it to purify the water so you can drink it. Chico, you gonna trade places with DannyMac? All right, come on up here, Danny.
I don't want to hog this here.
Come on, jump in here.
Yeah,
come on, DannyMac.
All righty.
But what the difference is, matter of fact, I investigated a fish kill from where a fire hydrant was tested, and they forgot to shut it and flushed the guy's pond and killed every fish in it. It's because the water was treated, and that treated water doesn't work very, very well at all. Let's see here. I'm going to keep going down. Hey, say hello to DannyMac, coming in from San Antonio, Texas, hanging out at the Institute of Higher Pondology. Yeah, Lena, come this way.
Lean this way. I'll put my arm around Bob.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah, don't do that.
My wife's watching. There's Brent Warman checking in. Hey, Brent. Leo, how many years? Okay, he's talking about the Barramundi. Okay, Mike DeMintz checking in. Bill Russell. I skipped by. Let me see what he said. Let's find it here. Holy cow.
I have to get used to that delay.
The trial is for optimal. I was puzzled that my fish did not show any preference or lack for any sample or control. That's interesting, Bill. I would love to hear more about it, because there are some really good fish foods out there. It's going to be interesting to see if you see any really growth rate differences without modifying that feed. Let's see, Frank James, is it too late to electroshock after turnover? No, it's not, because the fish tend to move shallow. After turnover, the water's still got to stabilize, but the fish are going to be shallow because they're in their feeding frenzies now. This time of year, your fish are wanting to eat, to gain weight, to add body fat, to go into the winter, and develop their eggs. So they're going to eat well, which means they're going to tend to be shallow until the water temperature gets to be in the 50s like it is up in with John Funk up there. Tim Stewart could be here by 1:30. Tim, by 1:30, that's fine. You would miss the basic pond management part, but if you got here at 1:30, you'd be involved in some in the reception and hands-on stuff, some classroom on Friday. You know what? If you can get here by 1:30, that would probably be worth it if you want to. Let's see here, Leo, Mike, Bob. When using the fish app, what are the criteria you look for good bites? Okay, you don't use any apps though, Chico, right?
No, I don't. Not in the kayak.
Okay, when he's in the kayak, he's on his. Do you have a depth finder or anything?
I use a Humminbird.
So you use a Humminbird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing in the kayak is you're out there to have fun, cast a line, sit and just be quiet.
That's right.
And see if you can find fish. And once you find them, then you're going to try to do your best you can to figure out what they're going to eat for you at that moment.
Pretty much, mostly that, unless it's a tournament, and then I'm crazy.
Gotcha. Okay, let's see. Chris Blood, Texas Hunter. We were just talking about you guys a while ago. Glad you got going. Hey, you know what, Chris? You're going to love this. In our hands-on part on Friday afternoon, what the feeder that I got from you guys, I'm going to have everybody put a feeder together, set the timer, set it on the dock, put some Purina MVP in it, and let them see how well it works and how well the fish eat. So that's a good thing. Let's see, Matt Singley, DannyMac. We're going to talk to you in a minute, I promise.
That's okay.
I finished.
Just be careful what you ask.
I finished building my 2-acre pond, Matt Singley, and we're starting to get a good bit of rain in South Mississippi. How full does my pond need to be before I start fingerling fish in it? Here's what I tell people, and I learned this the hard way. This is a Bob Lusk tip, I promise you. I didn't get this from any book, and nobody else told me. I had to figure this out because I saw what happens when you do it different. I like to see a pond at least half the surface acreage covered with water, minimum depth 8 feet, going into a rainy season. Because I have done that where a pond had at least 8 feet of water in it, or 5 or 6 feet of water in it, stock fish in it, hit a drought, and the pond goes dry, and the clients call me saying, hey, can you come get these fish out that you sold me? So that's happened a couple of times in my 40-year career. So what I tell people is to be sure that you've got at least half your surface area covered, a minimum of 8 feet deep, because we don't wading birds out there eating your fish, going into a rainy season, and then I want you to stock your forage fish. Wait till the lake fills up at least 3/4 full, headed into a rainy season, before you add your game fish. So start off with the forage fish. Let's see here. Gary Hempel. Well, barramundi is a bloody big fish. McDundee. There you go. I'm about to sneeze. Good gosh. James Sampson. Hey, I'm late. Better late than never. Woo. Barramundi. Barramundi. Jessica's setting us straight. Barramundi. Barramundi. Okay, you know what? Speak a little louder.
Right.
Gary Hempel. Okay. Good gosh, we got a sidebar going on here, fellas. We got 36 new comments. I am so far behind.
Whoa.
Let's see here. Chris Blood, good looking good. Hopping on the plane. Hey, we'll see you next week, buddy. Be good. Holy cow, we got a whole bunch of sidebars going on. Oh, good. There's not a lot. Let's see here. James Sampson saying hello. Josh Freilich. Hey, guys, I'm buying a property with a 15-acre natural pond that's about 7 feet deep. At its deepest up here in Minnesota. Is there an affordable way to aerate that huge pond to avoid a fish kill? Absolutely. You bet. Affordable when you compare the value of your fish population to the cost of an aeration system in a 7-foot deep lake, absolutely it's affordable. Now you might spend, for a 15-acre lake, you might spend $5,000 on an aeration system, but when you spread that cost out over 8 or 10 years and you don't get a fish kill, that's well worth it. That's $1,000 a year. Probably going to cost you $50 a month to use it. But you need a strategy on how you aerate. You don't want to aerate all the time. You want to have a strategy. And the strategy is to cleanse your water regularly before ice up. And then in the wintertime, you bring your diffuser shallow, or whatever system you choose. You might use circulators. If that's the case, then you want to bring them shallow to keep some open areas around the perimeter, around the edges. You don't want it out in the deeper part. You're going to make your water too cool if you do that. Barramundi. She's yelling it, Chico. She's yelling it.
Oh, really?
Over
I did it with a
Facebook.
Spanish accent.
Barramundi.
No, it's
Bara.
Barramundi.
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 Yeah, Barramundi.
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 Barramundi, Jessica? Okay, let's see what else we got here. Ron Arduan, if a pond owner doesn't fish his pond much, doesn't know what's in it because he bought the home and the pond when they were 10 years old, doesn't want to electrofish it, which direction do you go with that in terms of adding or taking out fish or improving the health of the fish population? Well, if he doesn't care about it, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You got to care about it. You got a pond.
Yeah.
How big is your pond?
1/10 of an acre.
You know what? I've got a couple of 1/10 acre ponds, and they're the most productive ponds on our whole place.
Well,
But I can change water. So tell us about your ponds right quick.
okay. Well,
Or your pond.
You know, yeah, it's 1/10 of an acre, lined with the stuff they use for drilling water pits, and you know, it's 2.5 years old. I put a few fish of each. 50 bluegills, 5 bass,
Yeah, okay.
and
How are they doing?
20 channel cat. Oh, they're doing great. We're finally fishing out the cats and the hybrid bluegills, which,
You like the hybrid bluegills?
well, I hardly ever caught them, but I wish I could show you the picture. This fella come over with his wife. They brought the worms. These fish have never seen a worm. All they've seen is feed and little lures and such,
Yep.
you know.
Did they know what to do with a night crawler?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Did they swallow the hook?
you had to cut off the bluegills wanted that much worm wiggling on the end of the hook, and the next thing you know, we're catching blue. Of course, his wife is catching these bluegills.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
We're
because
catching these bluegills.
Women-
She's catching these.
women listen. They
Well,
know
yeah,
what to do.
yeah.
You guys like us, we know what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
Wink,
we don't
wink,
want
wink.
to catch a fish.
That's right. Well, we're going to follow Ron's question, but he's got his mind made up. He just wants some more brim. That does no harm. If he wants to stock more bluegill, that does no harm. It doesn't necessarily do any good, but it does no harm. If he wants to throw some money at it and he doesn't listen to your advice, let him throw money at it. I want to politely ask them, why did you call me, or what do you need me for? They don't listen to a single bit of advice. You know what? A lot of people didn't listen to my advice till I got a little bit of gray in my beard. Then they did. You know, which I don't know. You know, I guess the thing is help them do no harm. If they don't want to listen to you, and I'm at the point that if somebody doesn't want to work with me, doesn't want to listen to me, oh, I'm going to sound arrogant. I fire them. And I haven't fired many customers, but I have. You know, if what I'm telling them, they don't believe it, it isn't working, we don't have a good relationship. If it's not good for you and it's not good for me, it's not good for either one of us, then I'm out. I'm out. And they say that on Shark Tank, which I'm not on Shark Tank. But, okay, so Sheridan Ashmore, since the snakehead is no other predator above it, wouldn't it make it similar to for example, how pike in northern lakes are? It makes the bass no longer the number one predator in the food chain. Yes, that's true. Now, here's the thing. Here's one of the unknowns about some invasive non-native species, like here at Lake Texoma. Lake Texoma was the first lake in Texas that got zebra mussels in it. But I don't hear much about them anymore. You know, over in Arizona with the quagga mussels, that's growing some of the largest red ear in the world. There's 5-pound red ear coming out. So nature, you know, we don't want non-native invasive species because nature has to adjust to those fish. So with snakeheads, I know that a female will lay a minimum of 15,000 eggs up to 150,000 eggs. But what I don't know is how many of those survive in a lake that's, say, bass heavy, for example. I can't imagine a lot of them surviving. But I can sure see in situations where they become the dominant predator, then they're an issue. But what you don't know is, will they become the dominant predator? Look at bighead carp. Bighead carp have invaded the Mississippi River drainage area. And, you know, they're taking up space. They're eating a lot of food. They're filter feeders. You know, they don't really have a predator because they get so big. So it's going to take a commercial fishing market to begin to deal with the consequences of that species. But in some cases, nature will adjust, but you can't bank on that. So it's better just not to bring those fish in at all.
May I?
Sure, jump in.
You got zebra mussels in Lake Tixum, and now you got crabs?
Yeah, Harris crabs.
Sounds like
They were there before the zebra mussels.
Sounds like you ought to bring in those redfish that are
Red
acclimated
sunfish,
to freshwater.
Oh, you know what?
You
That
know,
would be,
Yeah.
down there in our
Well,
cooling lakes, we catch these 30, 40-inch
and
reds.
brawny, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
you know, that's a technique they could use. Now, of course, we got a different climate here than you guys have around San Antonio.
Well,
We do get cold, but
redfish
You'd have to
live
stock a
everywhere.
lot more often, I think.
Bruce wants to know when the infused bourbons are served. Probably, that's probably going to be Saturday night, Bruce. You got time? Well, you know what? You got to go on a away party.
That's how he got us here.
Yeah, geez, okay.
Right.
Let's see, James Sampson, Gills versus Hybrid Gills. You know, I'm going to take 2 minutes to talk about that. We have got 47 comments that I have not been able to see yet. So, Gills versus Hybrid Gills. They're totally different fish that serve different purposes that look similar. Well, Bruce Condello can show you some giant pictures or some pictures of some giant hybrid sunfish. Those things, the biggest hybrid sunfish I've ever seen is just right at 2 pounds. The biggest bluegill I've ever seen is 3.4 or 3 pounds 4 ounces. Here's the deal: bluegill sunfish reproduce a lot. They're the backbone of the food chain. Hybrid bluegill are a cross between green sunfish females and bluegill males. The offspring of those fish, yeah, they can reproduce, but 95% of them won't because they're mostly males.
Yeah.
So the hybrid bluegills are stocked into ponds when you want to use them as a game fish. Bluegill are stocked to provide the food chain
Yes.
and a game fish for people. So let's see here.
Remember you told me, watch out for those females, they can get quite large? We caught a quite large female like that the other day.
Okay, there you go.
And she was, and you know, they're not, I don't think they're into spawning right now, so I don't think she's full of eggs. I think she's just a massive, big bluegill female.
I love that. And you know what? Bruce, over his period of time studying bluegills, has come to the conclusion that the males get bigger, but he's also seen some on this better feeds like MVP, that he's seen some females that are growing as big, some of them bigger than his males.
What are you using here?
I use Aquamax MVP on all my fish. I've got 6 hatchery ponds behind us here that get MVP, and I've got we have 8 ponds at LL, but I feed fish in 6 ponds. They get MVP as well.
So your total ponds now are what here?
Aquamax MVP. How many acres?
Yeah. What you've got? This is.
We got a little under. We got about 3.5 acres of ponds right here on
like
this
a lot
8
more,
acres.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, so Josh Fralick, awesome. 5,000-7,000 would be well worth it to aerate the pond. Yes, it would. And if you want some help with that, send me an email at info@pondboss.com, and I'll turn you on to the vendors that will design a system for you. Let's see here. Gary Hempel, worms are great bluegill bait. Chris Horsley, last week one of the last questions was about copper-nosed bluegill versus hybrids. We talk about that now. I'd like to hear your answer. Copper-nosed bluegill love warm water. They're native to Florida, Georgia, Alabama. They've been transferred, stocked into the southern states, Arkansas, Mississippi, Texas. They thrive in Texas climates. They don't really like cold weather. They shiver. I've actually watched copper-nosed bluegill in concrete tanks where I had 10,000 of them at a time. Yeah. When they didn't have fresh, warm well water going, if the temperature gets down into the low 40s and the upper 30s, they will literally fall down to the bottom of the tank and lay on their sides, and they quit breathing and they'll suffocate. So you got to keep them pretty warm. Yeah. So the difference between copper-nosed bluegill is they lack warmer water. Hybrid sunfish, I've just explained those a little bit. Okay, Gary Hempel says, tell Cajuns they taste like garballs. That solves that, doesn't it? Sheridan, very good information, and hope the DNR will be able to combat it. I do too. Let's see. Holy cow, I'm running out of room here. We got new comments, and I can't catch up. I've seen picture of yeah. Hello from a duck. Chris Rigoni's hunting ducks up in Canada. Okay. Well, it must be dark, or you wouldn't be watching us. There you go. Hey, you better get to bed, man.
Sites tonight.
You better get to bed. You got to get up early. Okay, I'm running out of comments. I don't see any more. Where'd they go? It says we got a lot more. Okay, I think we may be caught up. If you got comments, tell us more about it. Okay, let's go back to DannyMac.
Okay.
You're coming to the Institute of Higher Pondology.
Yes, sir.
Why? What's the point?
Oh, Lord.
Your wife make you?
Yeah, my wife said, go do it. You know, it's
What?
worth it. Have fun. You know,
Okay.
get out. Okay. I wanted to meet you, the famous
Whoa!
Pond
Here we are.
Yeah. And my gosh, yeah, I want to, you know, off the forum and the magazine and from these right here, you learn so dang much, but questions pop up too.
Yeah.
All the time, more questions.
Yes,
It just makes
yes.
more and more questions
Yes.
as you
Yes.
get into this
And
thing.
even though you've got a 1/10 acre pond, I mean that's enough
Yeah.
pond.
120,000 gallons.
Yeah, and
About,
so
yeah.
and so you got fish in it. You spend time out there,
Oh, every morning and every evening almost.
and you just love being there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because water. I can't wait for you to see our place. DannyMac staying at Cedar Mills over here on Lake Texoma, and he's going to be here in the morning at 8 o'clock. Matter of fact, we're probably going to wander back to my house in a minute and share a little bit more Woodford.
I hope I don't have that on Facebook. They might.
Oh Lord,
censor
we
me.
might. Oh good God, holy cow!
You're all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think
That's
I'll
too
have a
conservative.
little sip of water then.
Yeah, I like
So-
that right wing conservative talk earlier, man.
And you know what? I don't. It's kind of funny. I don't talk about politics,
Nah.
and the reason I don't is because nobody cares what I think about politics.
Right.
You know, I
It's
think.
starting to count what people think.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
it is.
I think with my vote. I think with my vote.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't think there's one person anywhere that I can persuade on social media
It's not going to change them.
to think what I think.
Yeah.
And what I think in politics and my faith in God and religion and Jesus as my Savior,
Amen.
it is not going to matter to anybody else except the people in my circle that I can influence. But what I have to say about fish, I want you to listen to that because that's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I want to tell you about water chemistry, listen to me. I want you to know. There's Kenneth Primo. Man, I think we got South Louisiana kind of rained in, and here they go. So we're going to hang out and we're going to talk about, at the Bob Lusk Institute of Higher Pondology, we're going to talk about water chemistry some, and we're going to make it simple. We're going to talk about what matters with water chemistry. That can be such a confusing thing. And what's really confusing to me is over the years, you know, I have learned chemistry because I've kind of had to. Now I'm a novice. But where it gets confusing is how the chemistry affects the biology and how the biology affects the chemistry and how those two things ride a seesaw and play ping pong together. And I look at it kind of like a game. So there's certain elements of water chemistry that are very important to you and me and DannyMac.
Yeah.
You know, so if you don't have happy water, where's our buddy from up around Kansas City, Mr. Wood? I think he's not on tonight, but he makes fun of me for saying happy water. If you don't have happy water, you don't have a happy pond. Nothing else makes any difference. You know, so we're going to talk about water chemistry. We're going to talk about how the influences of habitat influence the fish populations. You know, I can't tell you how many times I come across a pond over the years with my little electrofishing boat. I had a small electrofishing boat till I got ejected from it enough. I got a big electrofishing boat. You see all these cookie cutter carbon copy bass about that big, you know, that look like a long distance runner in the Olympics. You know, about that big around with long legs. You know, none of them look like me. So I wanted to try to figure out what's up with that. I came to the conclusion that is more habitat driven. Where people will say, you know what, well, let's go buy some bait fish and the fish will grow. Well, they will for a minute. But you can't money whip bad habitat by trying to grow fish without it. If you don't have good habitat. Then there's the food chain which follows next. So if you don't have all those ingredients coming up to that in that order, if you don't have happy water and great habitat and a good food chain, nothing else is going to make any difference. Dave Weber, there's Dave Weber. That's who I was talking about a while ago. Dave Weber is the one that gives me makes fun of me about the happy water. Dave, man, were you lurking and you just had to chime in? I love that. Sweet.
I like the happy water.
Yeah.
There we
We
go.
got happy water.
All right. Gary Hempel, politics. Poly equals many ticks. Bloodsucker. Hey, you know what? That's it, man.
Politics.
yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Many ticks.
I have
Poly-ticks. Many ticks.
Oh, there was also another. I just read the 1,200-page novel where politicians
Yeah.
in 1500s
Mm-hmm.
were the people that when the religion changed, it's Catholic, no, it's English, Anglican, no, it's Catholic, no, it's
Yep.
Anglican, no problem.
Yeah, well.
They
you know,
they were was called politics, and they were politicians.
there they go.
I couldn't believe
And
it.
then Facebook came along.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Hey,
so
you know
see.
what? You might be surprised where Facebook goes here.
Gary Hempel, Happy
yeah.
Pond was a name brand of my bacteria used to be sold under. Why'd you change it, dude? Gary Hempel he's in the water business. Jessica O'Neill says she never thought when she started fishing she'd have to become a bloody scientist. You know what? Hey, it kind of goes with the, and you know what? You got to be a mathematician.
She's at least going to have to listen to one.
Yeah, well, you don't have to be one if you'll hear one, right?
Yeah,
that's what Chico's saying over there in the background. Let's see, Chuck Brinkman from over there in Missouri who grows those giant fish on Aquamax MVP. My catfish and bass both very aggressively go after the Aquamax sport fish largemouth feed. Aquamax largemouth fish food is about as big around as the end of your thumb. And it was designed by Dr. Mark Griffin back in 2005, which is a long story. Well, it's 7:21. I'll save that story for another day. But he invented that fish food for the feed-trained bass industry. And man, that stuff really, really, really works. Let's see, he says, one evening I caught 4 bass fishing on the bottom with livers. Wait, let me go back here. Let me see. Well, you know what? The reason I ask is I can regularly catch largemouth tight lining with chicken livers. You know, once they are conditioned like Pavlov's dogs to eat fish food, they're triggered by the motion and they're also triggered by the smell. You know, they're not going to eat it if it smells like corn. They're probably not going to eat it because they're predators. They're going to eat livers. Now, I don't know why a largemouth bass will go down and pick up a liver while you're chasing a channel cat any more than why a channel cat will come up and bite a live minnow because they're a predator.
I think you
So-
have to move it.
You know, do they catch it do they bite it while it's laying on the bottom or while it's sinking? Jacob West, hey Jacob, you'll meet DannyMac tomorrow when you get here to the Bob Lusk Institute of Higher Pondology. Dave Weber have been hiding just under the surface from the start, just waiting for the right top water presentation to strike for the happy water guy. Attaboy. Dave, we appreciate you, man. Troy Seal, hello and goodbye. Late getting here. Glad you were here. Hey, go back and watch it. This has been an entertaining show. Don't you think it has? I have been.
It has been for me. I hope.
Just
And if my wife's watching, I hope she's entertained.
hey, Mrs. Mac,
She'll probably.
this guy's
Unload on
famous.
me.
Unload what she
You
done
gotta share it
unload.
now.
What were you doing? Taking a drink of that?
No. It's Dr. Pepper.
Ixnay.
Dr. Pepper.
But
Well, what he's going to tell you is he made me do it, and I did. I mean, you can't just present. I'm not a coffee drinker, but if DannyMac says, "Hey, I want you to share some coffee," I'm probably going to sip it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
Then I go to beer. But no.
So let's talk a little bit more about the Institute. You're here because you want to have fun,
Yeah.
but you're seeing the pond that you've got,
Yeah.
and then these conversations
Which
on the
is
Pond Boss Forum.
Like nothing that we're gonna.
But it's yours. Yeah, but it's yours.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so here's what he's
But-
talking. Okay, so are you looking forward to going up to Wildcat Springs Ranch?
Yeah.
That's going to be huge fun.
80-acre lake.
Yeah,
Other lakes.
64-acre lake,
Throwing
20-acre
out.
lake.
See what swims into a damn gill net.
Yep. That'll be fun.
And I read about gill nets.
Yeah.
And how they get bigger out in the deeper. And,
Yep, that's right. Experimental gill nets.
And seining.
You want to sing
Well,
or watch it?
I don't have the waders.
You know what?
I have muck boots. Like that.
Yeah,
Nice,
okay.
tall muck boots.
I'll show you how to sing without getting your feet wet.
There you go.
Because I'm going to watch everybody else sing.
And electrofishing.
There you go.
sounds
Dave Weber
like
have a
cool.
question about intentionally raising a pond's level to control American lotus. If you have time to address it, I think it's irrelevant. Dave, if you want to raise the water level to control American lotus, I don't think that's going to happen. You'd have to raise it a minimum of 4 feet, and you would need to do it before the lotus leaves started to sprout, and the water visibility would need to be probably less than 24 inches. And I still think lotus are going to make it to the surface. I don't think raising a pond's level strictly to control lotus is going to help. Now, here's how it might deter them, is if you raise the level and double the surface area and stick those lotuses about 50 feet out from shore, that might impact them more than the amount of water that sits on top of them. So that's my answer for that. Kevin Goob Tapley just built a spring-fed pond. Should have put smallmouth bass in it. Where are you, Kevin? I tell you, if you've got a spring-fed pond with no fish and you're in the Midwest or northern tier states, I'd say you bet. Smallmouth bass. Now, if you want to try to grow smallmouth bass in areas where the climate is not as conducive, you better have the best habitat. Now, I didn't think smallmouth bass would thrive in hot water, and they typically don't. But one of the coolest attempts I've seen was a pond that a guy excavated in his backyard, took the excavated dirt, piled it up, built a stream, created the entire bottom of his pond to be a filter system of gravel going through gables, picking the water up, pumping it through the stream on top of the dirt that he'd extracted or excavated from his yard, built a filter system, and all that gabled rock under the water became smallmouth bass habitat. And you stand on top of his dam and look up on your tiptoes, you can see downtown Phoenix, Arizona. That guy, even less than a 10th acre pond, grew some giant smallmouth bass, some giant bluegills. So if you build the right environment, yes, you can. Now, I'm going to tell you, depending on where you are, Kentucky, yeah, you can do it in Kentucky. Yeah, you sure can. Absolutely. You can grow smallmouth bass in Kentucky, and I would encourage it. But the whole secret to this is having the best kind of habitat. Well, DannyMac, you got any more comments before we cut out? It's 7:27. We're getting ready to wrap this
golly
up.
gee, I'm thinking of writing a book about the unforeseen benefits of having a small pond.
Oh.
All of a sudden, you're like, well, this damn son of a bitch is no bigger than a swimming pool. I'm sorry.
Can you say bigger on this?
Yeah, but I put in a sand filter.
Yeah.
I put in these pumps. I'm building a 100-foot river up this dang ravine with 7 waterfalls. It's all, it has cost me probably $70,000 so far.
But it's added 10
25 for the little pond.
Yeah.
And the rest.
50 for the waterfall.
100 foot of waterfall is.
Yeah.
And like I said, I could write a book.
Yeah.
Flocculent will drop the crap out of your water, but it won't keep the fish from kicking it back up.
Oh, there you go. See?
Yeah.
Nobody tells you that.
Yeah, no one ever tells you
You got to
that.
figure that out by yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. You can flock the water, but you can't keep the fish out of the flock. There you go. Okay.
I looked at soil flock because this guy said about how sandy beach became rock hard after applying soil flock.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
It couldn't poke a stick through the sand.
Huh? Was
in
that
this beach?
Was that the way it was though?
No, it was soft sandy.
Yeah. Okay.
Then he applied soil flock trying to stop the leaks.
Good.
And,
yeah.
So TJ, I don't know how to
TJ
pronounce his.
TJ Hudson.
Yeah.
Tom Hudson. Yeah.
He said, "Well, we're not actually."
Soil Flock is an outstanding
Looking at
product.
that,
Yeah,
but
Soil Flock's a good product because all these different products that we've got out there available to stop leaky waters, leaky ponds, they'll work with the right conditions. I don't think it's smart to run out there and just start putting polymers or bentonite or extra clay or whatever. I say this every time I talk about leaky ponds. What holds water better than anything on the planet? A bathtub, right? Except for that little bitty hole down
Oh,
there.
yeah.
If you can find the hole, you can patch it. Holy cow, 729. Let's see. Gary Hempel, willow branches don't make good underwater habitats. They just make more willow trees. I don't know if you know this or not, but willows have a chemical aspect to them that is a root stimulant. And if you ever watch a willow tree, a limb grow out to the edge of the water, roots will grow out from that limb. And years and years and years ago, horticulturists would use willow extract to root things like roses and things like Christmas plants, things like that. So they would do that. The willow will also help ripen certain kinds of plants. You know, like an apple helps ripen what are the plants at Christmas that got the red leaves on it?
Oh, poinsettias.
Yeah, poinsettias. That's it. Jessica O'Neill says, great show, guys. Love your work. Enjoy it. Hey, thank you, Jessica. I know it's tomorrow in your part of the world, so enjoy your day. Hope you seize it. Get a chance to catch a few fish and keep that science going. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. Had a great time. Thanks to Chico for sharing this on the different Facebook pages he's got. And thanks to DannyMac for checking in. We're going to go have a great conference coming up. Adios, and we will see you next Wednesday live. See ya.